Hey, you guys. I am so hesitant to even record an episode because I went on a friend of mine's podcast last week, Mike, on Bound Living podcast. We talked so much about like dating and like masculine men and the feminine. And I was so inspired after recording that episode with him. So I went and recorded a solo episode, just kind of like going into depth on all of the things that we covered. And it's weird having had a podcast where you like go into a studio, you have a producer, and they take care of everything for you. It's so different from doing it where I'm the producer, setting up my mic. And so I totally didn't have my mic on, y'all. I like looked so pretty. I had all of my makeup on. I recorded what I thought was like the most bomb ass fire episode, and then it had no audio. Um and I feel like for me that was a really good reminder. I have a full time job and I keep trying to pursue my podcast dreams, and not everything's always going to go as planned. It's not always going to be perfect, and that is part of the journey of following your dreams in general. And so today I'm sitting here, I'm wearing I love being dramatic t shirt, very fitting, drinking a glass of wine. I really don't drink very heavily at all these days, you guys. It's Valentine's Day when I'm recording this. I was like, let me sit, let me have a glass of wine, and let me pour some love into my listeners, my few listeners who hopefully, not even hopefully, I'm going to put more emphasis on my word. We're going to make it happen this year for the podcast. Um, I'm doing everything I can to make that happen for myself. I'm like 1 second from selling this couch behind me and just building out a full-fledged studio in my home. I have so many girlfriends that are podcasters. I just want people to be able to use my space and create. And so, if you are alone like me on Valentine's Day and you are trying to call in your person or call in your king, my advice to you is to place your love back on self. I think sometimes we have to be in the right timeline to meet someone. If you're vibrationally functioning in a very low timeline, I know previous versions of myself, there were times where I looked great on the outside. I looked beautiful. I looked skinny. I was well dressed. I had hair extensions. I had my makeup done. But I was just numbing so deeply with other substances and drinking and going out on the weekends. And, I was single during that time. And the reason for that is like I was vibrationally operating at such a low level. And I just even feel my own energy now. Like I feel this brightness in my eyes and like this vitality. And people are even asking me, like, what are you doing? Like, your face looks thinner, you look happier. And I'm telling you guys, my body specifically is so energy sensitive. So when I'm not doing well internally, I feel like it shows up so much more than other people for me externally. I feel like my body is very attuned to the shifts in my energy. And I think when you even think about like manifesting a partner, in my opinion, what that really is a feeling. Um, you know, it's you can sit there and dream all day long, but if you're not showing up as the best version of you and vibrating at like a very high level, you're not going to call in the caliber of a partner that you want to call in. And not only that, but you're going to accept love from people who aren't even deserving of your light. Let me say for me, like, just, I still feel like for myself, I'm not quite at the point where I'm ready to call in my partner, because there's so much I want to do and want to accomplish with my businesses and my goals that are kind of like my first love and priority right now. But I also feel like this year is the year for love for me specifically. I just think it's going to happen for me later in the year. I just think I'm meant to call my partner in later this year. I've already started to like really like vibrationally feel like what that feels like to me, like what my home will feel like when I have that person in my life. It's so interesting for me because even as I really think about what I want in a partner this year, it looks so night and day from what I used to think I wanted my partner to look like. Like in the past, when I was dating, I would always go for, you guys know, this is the joke, very tall, because I'm very tall, very successful, typically entrepreneurs. I really love a motivated man. That's like so inspiring to me. And I remember talking to my therapist at one point, and she was like, "You're going for this same type of person over and over again, and your stereotype of what you're choosing typically is a little bit narcissistic. Like these good looking, very attractive guys who are entrepreneurs, in my opinion, who are doing something very admirable for a man in terms of building a business on their own. But at the same time, sometimes those type of men can have some of those narcissistic character traits, or it's not even that, it's like survival of the fittest. Like every beautiful woman is going to want to go after a tall, successful man. And so it's like if the percentage of good looking, successful men is only, so small, then every single bad bitch, beautiful woman is gonna want that man. And then it's like you're competing. I'm like, you know what? The competing stuff, anyone you're competing for is not for you. Okay. And so my I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like trends or something, if I just get brainwashed by society of what is deemed physically attractive that year or something. Like, if you even think about it for women, think back to like 2016, like Kylie Kardashian era when, everyone was doing like the lip kits and the really thick eyebrows and like the BBLs. Flash forward today, it's like I feel like you're supposed to be, not, you're not supposed to be. It's like the Ozempic skinny, and it's like no one really is getting breast augmentations anymore. It's like the standards of beauty are so shifting. And so, for me this year, it's like the crunchy granola year, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know if I want this like successful entrepreneur guy or if I want someone in the middle, because sometimes some of those like homestead hippie, really earthy guys that I feel like, are just going to put me in my feminine and let me sit at home and milk the cow, So it's somewhere in the middle for me is what I'm telling you, okay? Based on the trends. And I've been single, now that I think about it, I've been single for 4 years now at this point. And I really question that sometimes. I'm like, is something wrong with me? I started saying that the other day because I was like, 4 years seems like a long time to be single. But I just sit there and I think about how many people go into relationships so easily without looking at their partner, their character traits. Like, if I go into a relationship with someone and that relationship lasts 2 years and I just like stayed in it and went in it and I wasn't even looking to see if this person was even a good match for me from like step one, then I'm like wasting years of my life and I'm blocking the partner that's meant for me. And so I think there's something, very powerful about being single for a long time. There's something that terrifies me at the same time because I don't like the stats around women in their late 20s and early 30s that are still single. And like sometimes the narrative I feel where it's like, women just, in their 30s just work hard at your corporate job, go shop, go buy things, self-care, just all this time for self-care. Like you shouldn't have, in my opinion, all this time for self-care, okay? I don't think any woman truly at their core wants to be single. I said this on Mike's podcast as well. I think we're meant to have partners like Adam and Eve from the Bible. And so I personally don't want to be a 30-year-old single woman with like so much time on my hands that I can just put sheet masks on my face all day long. Just saying. It's like I want to be a mother, I want to be a mom, I want to be a wife, I want to have a family, and I want to have priorities that are outside of myself. And I feel like that's a piece that you're really missing when you're single is having something outside of yourself, whether that's your partner, your child, whatever that is. And so, anyway, I feel like I'm just going on this little rant because I really feel like I recorded like such a bomb fire episode the other night and then I couldn't use any of that content because there was no sound. And so then I was like, I knew I was going to dinner with my sister tonight for Valentine's Day. And so I was like, if I'm gonna have my makeup on, this is a good time to record. So that's why I sat down, my little beverage, and I was like, I'm just gonna get on the camera and say some shit, whatever that shit is. So, happy Valentine's Day. I promise the next episode's gonna be way more profound than this, but love you guys. XOXO. Cass.